bit that you are the genuine article.
Yeah.
There's very few people that are as authentic as you, that love as deeply as you do. You're one of the most generous men I've ever met in every way, not just financially, but in spirit and in heart and in love. Like, you love deeply and you love big, and I appreciate that about you. And my kids just have been so blessed by having you in their lives, and the way that you've imparted to them and the way that you've encouraged them. You're a love of my life. I kissed 3 men. I kissed Chip Rowe, I kissed Chops Rumor, and this is on the lips, by the way, because I know who I am. We know who we are. I'm flaming, but I'm straight flaming. It's okay. And so, before we begin, I just wanted to share a little bit that way, because if you look around, and this is just such a small gathering of the people whose lives you've touched, but to be able to celebrate this with you, I'm honored. So thank you. Thank you for your friendship, and just thank you for who you are. You're amazing. And I love that picture. It's kind of like one of those, it seems like it's almost like one of those before shots. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Not the after, but you got it. That's all that matters. As long as you get these, that's awesome.
Look at me, brother.
Right.
Yeah. 490.
So I wanted to talk just a little bit, because we're here for Chip's 70th birthday, so we know that he's aging graciously, though, but he loves collections. He loves antiques. The problem is, Chips finds himself at an auction, and he gets bid on like 3 times. I got more. I just got to read them. Like, they're so good. No, I'm not going to talk about your golf game yet. I can't talk about your golf game. We have a lot of time for that.
Call that golf? Is that what he does?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm sure that as he's advancing in his age, as he looks back, most of those memories are probably in black and white. So I will do a couple golf things, but I want some feedback. So if I say Chip's golf game is so bad, that's really good, but let's do it now. Chip's golf game is so bad.
How bad is it?
He recently had to have his ball retriever re-gripped. And Chip, he is always asking me for advice on the golf course. I don't know why, but he does. And he says, Mark, how can I shave 6 strokes off my game?
Quit playing.
And I said, just skip a par 3. I also told him what I thought was his biggest problem in his golf game is that he's always too close to the ball after he hits it. And as far as his driver goes, for those, Nathan, Rod, Anthony, Lance, all that we played with him, he's got the most dangerous driver since Ben Hur. For your younger set, don't worry about it. Great classic movie. Check it out. I know this about my friend, though. He's as integrous on the golf course as anybody I know. He never cheats. He never embellishes his score. All we do is we look back behind us in the fairway and we just count the wounded. So this is the time that we want some friends to come up and say a few words about Chip. And the first one that we have is Anthony McDaniel. So Anthony, come on up.
Man, that was good stuff right there. I don't know how to follow that up. But I too am going to talk about Chip's golf game as well. So I get a chance to. So for me, Chippy, it's Chippy, Chipper, friend, partner. I call him all kinds of stuff. Chip Rowe. So I get a chance to golf with him pretty often, and I love golfing with him because just a couple reasons. He's a great gift giver, right? Every time we golf together, or majority of the time, he brings gifts like he'll bring golf balls that don't fly very far, right? And I think he does that on purpose, right? I don't hit the ball very far anyways, but these balls are limited flight balls, so I think he does that on purpose, right? Then he brings all of these ball markers from courses he wishes he could play at, like St. Andrews, right? Like he just wishes he could play there, but he brings them back and they're a great gift. And you know, when I'm playing golf with other people, it's like, dude, that's a great Chip. Where'd you get that? Oh, my friend Chip gave that to me. Did he golf there? No, he just went there. So, great gift giver. Great gift giver. Number two is that, you know, we don't have to walk so far to hit our golf ball, right? And what I mean by that, if you're a golfer, you know, we get to drive up almost on the green, sometimes on the green. So I know that day when we golf together, I am not going to get my steps in. I'm not getting my steps in that day. I'm not. We're so close to the ball that we are not getting our steps in that day. And I know this, my friend. I know I'm going to laugh. That's what I know. I know we're going to have a great time. I know we're going to laugh. For me, when I know I'm going to hang out with you, it's almost like when I was a kid going to my favorite uncle's house. I knew I was going to have a great time and I was going to laugh a ton, right? But for me and you, you're almost old enough, or you are old enough to be my uncle's uncle. Yeah. Possibly. So we're just gonna call you my great uncle for tonight, right? So you're my great uncle. And I just want to say I love you, my friend. You're the funniest dude I know, and every time that we're together, you are truly one of a kind. And there's been several times on the course where I don't know, you just laugh at yourself, and I think I'm so encouraged when we play golf together as well, because you hit a bad shot, and you make me feel good about me hitting my bad shot, because you just you know, kind of just talk really bad about yourself. So I think I feel really good about myself. So it just ends up being great. So I appreciate you. I truly love you, and to be honest, you really make my heart happy, my friend. So I love you.
And now we could have Josiah say a few words.
All right. Just bring some wisdom into the room.
You know, it's funny, when I actually got here, I thought this was like a party for like a seasoned Tom Selleck with all the
Seasoned Tom Selleck.
and I was like, oh, okay. And then they're like, oh no, it's Chip 7. He's like, no, really? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would roast you, but I mean, I'm an original guy, and you're so seasoned that I'm sure you've already heard it all. So I'm gonna, you know, this guy at my party, at my 18th party, I believe it was, all night, like I'm talking to two people at my party, and the rest of the party is surrounded by him telling a story because he built a bomb when he was a youngin. That's cool. So I'll let that segue into his humility. But honestly, Chip, you really are one of the most humble people I've ever met, and I've, even in all the seasons of your life, I've always known you as someone who has joy no matter what he's facing. And that has honestly been one of the most encouraging things to me as a young man, as, you know, when I'm going through it, I can say to myself, this too shall pass, because I honestly see everything that you do, and you just keep at it. No matter what, you always keep at it. You always make people laugh, and you put others' joy above your own, and that in itself is something that I've learned from you, and I'm more than honored not to just call you my mentor, but really my friend, and I just thank you for the man you are and the man you continue to aspire to be, and you just encourage me every day. So, thank you, friend.
Just gonna consult my notes again. Okay, I'm gonna open this up for the family, and this is gonna be an open mic for the family. But I'd like to start out with Chip's older brother, Carl.
Oh boy. Yeah, fix him a quick drink.
One more maker? Quick makers for the shot?
Yeah, sure.
He's actually my older brother. And I know you can tell. How the hell did you get this old? Okay.
How the hell did you stay alive this long?
Hey, you know, this guy's good. You should have known his dad and his mom. I knew him, but they were different people. Oh, shit. Who said this guy was ethical? This is the guy that invented the foot wedge. And he's ethical on the golf course, right? I have played golf with this shyster. I cannot believe it. Oh, so my brother, happy birthday. I do have lots of things that I could roast you with. But you know, we both don't want to know what those are. You don't want to know. I don't want to revisit those times. Listen, we had a wonderful time growing up. I am older than Chip. You're going to go home with an image that you're not going to be able to shake. Oh, God. Can you see it coming? I changed this guy's diapers. Come on, think about this.
Well, that was last week.
We all do come back to that, don't we? My good friend, and we have been through lots. Lately, we've been through a good deal together, and it happened to be the passing of our mother, and it brought us a little closer together because we don't see each other that often, even though we live in the same town. And it's kind of neat in a way to get back together like we did, and so I'm thankful for that, and so I'm honored to be able to stand here and tell you that yeah, I love this guy. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
No, not yet. No. Sit your ass down. Hey, what's the matter with you? No. I was easy on you. Damn, Chip. any legitimate person in it? I mean, there are many stories about that.
Oh boy, here we go.
Go right ahead, Mike.
Strap in, ladies and
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Mike.
I take legitimate to a whole. No, I mean, I'm actually gonna be good, sort of, shocking. But Chip, or Pops is what I call him, kind of have a unique relationship in that a lot of you have known him for a long time, and we have known of each other for 50 years, but we only met about 21 years ago. So, but the kicker with Chip is he's either your dad, or he's been a brother, or a husband, and a father to a lot of people, and I feel very blessed in my life to have two dads that love me unconditionally. One that I've known my whole life, and one that I met about 21 years ago. So, thank you for that. And I guess to end on a meaningful note, thanks for doing that chick in your car so I could be
I don't know that they're in your family. You may want to take it back.
Well, while we're looking at the family another chance,
Just drop the mic.
legitimate, illegitimate, anybody. But, see, I think it's funny that Carl calls Chips a foot wedge. We call it his club foot. He says his foot is a club. What? Yeah. But I have a story to share, actually, that we have to share on a trip to Napa. So, the four of us embarked on a trip to Napa. We weren't planning on drinking. It was just a trip to see the hills of Napa. And the directions got all screwed up. We found ourselves in several wineries. And along the days, we just had a great time. And Chip had this great idea because they had done it before, and there was a glider ride to have. And when they took their glider ride, Napa was beautiful. There were rolling hills and vineyards, and it's just beautiful. He showed us the area that they glided through. And then he told us, we have such a surprise for you. We got you a glider ride. And we're like, that's awesome. We're like very excited. And so we're driving a long way down twisty roads and that. And we finally get to our destination.
Because the glider port got moved.
It did get moved to a less
It's okay, honey.
visually stimulating area. One that had been summarily burnt and torched. But the glider driver did say, the pilot, way over there, there's a lake. And we thought, well, can we go to the lake? Oh no, we can't go to the lake. So we kept spinning around, and the sun, it was a very hot day. And in a glider, through the plexiglass, what happens is actually it creates an ant effect. And so it's almost like having a magnifying glass on your head. So it was hot in the glider. And my wife, who is as tough as nails, and she's a mom, so that's all that needs to be said about that. But she was gonna
Hurl.
She was feeling ill. And one of the most impressive things was that pilot clearly was not her first rodeo, because there was a bag in like 0.4 seconds. Like that. Because Tina was right behind her. So she managed to, how, I don't know, but not get sick. And so she just asked, she goes, could we just get a little air? Because there are air pockets in a glider. So we went around the burnt area a few times, and then she asked if we were done. And we said yes. And so we landed, and that was the funnest part of just Chip laughing the whole, and as only Chip can laugh. And it was extended. I thought it was a little mean, actually. So we get back, and because we've had, an adventurous day, perilous at that. We get back to the hotel, and God bless these two millennials who were working the desk. But we were in the kind of the open area at a table playing Taboo, which is a fun game for us to play. And I think we were on they're just like this big. They're minis, if you've ever seen them. The wine bottles, they're not full size. So we just had a couple minis, just to end nightcaps at the end of the night as we're playing Taboo. And we go through the progression of our game, and we had, like Bevy and I were partners, and we won, and Chip and I were partners, and we won. My wife and I were partners, and we won. So
Common denominator.
So Bevy and I were partners, and she hadn't won yet, and I thought, well, we're gonna take them. And she was explaining, we had a card, and she was explaining one of it, and the word was straw. And so she was trying to get me to the plural of straw, which is hay. And I just wasn't tracking. And so we're crying because the plural of straw is hay. I would never get that. So we're crying, laughing. And then Tina had another thing I'm not going to say because it's the anniversary, I'm not going to do it. But the millennials, you could tell they were very uncomfortable with how loud we were. Because Chip,
He has a very contagious laugh.
Chip doesn't have a volume button. So we're at the table, and he stands up, and he goes, and because we're saying, I think we're making the millennials uncomfortable. And Chip goes, well, I don't care. I'm an effing diamond. Because we were staying at a Marriott. As we're walking by the front desk and we gather ourselves, we're at the end of our night, because it didn't bother Chip one bit that it was bothering anybody else. We were just having fun. And so as we're passing the desk, they just put their heads down and they chose not to engage. So,
Not to throw us out.
that's right. So I just wanted to tell you, look, that's just part of like doing life with Chip.
It's
Is just
a
that.
It's
It's
a blast.
robust. It's full of it.
Yeah.
It's full of life. So, is there
Because
anybody?
when you're with
family?
Chip, you're an
Car?
effing diamond. Okay? You're at the top of the food chain.
Lifetime diamond.
Might as well give him a chance.
I'm not ready yet.
You can just do it just like we talked about. You can do it from there if you want.
Come on, Chop.
I love chopping.
Yes, Chop big.
So I am Chops and that's Chip. For the longest time, everyone called me Chip. And I couldn't say to the people that, because I hate public speaking, but I couldn't say that. Not me, that's him. To reiterate what you said, Chip doesn't whisper. With regards to I love you lots, everything that they've said tonight is just, I can only just say to you, it's 100%. When we were practicing last night with all of us last night, and they've said everything that I was choosing to say, I running out of effing words. I love you guys.
Good car.
No, I'm not ready.
Can you stand up here until you are?
No.
I'm gonna sit down, you're gonna stand up here alone. You're gonna do great.
Come on, Carly. You can do it. You got it, girl.
Plug my
I'll make it a
ears.
double.
Thank you all for coming. I don't want to roast my dad because I roast him every night. But I'm glad that we can all appreciate his sense of humor and appropriateness. And the boundaries he continues to cross. He's my dad at the end of the day, every day he's my dad. And I love him for everything he's been for me. And I don't want to share funny stories because you don't want to know my funny
Oh, just one?
I have to go home there.
Is there anybody else?
Is there no one else?
Then Betty, will you come wrap this
Aunt
up?
Nancy.
Aunt Nancy, come on. I can't wait to hear Aunt Nancy's
Oh,
golf
my
story.
story is G-rated, I promise, it's not PG rated. Well, sort of. So, my name is it's Nancy, but everybody calls me Aunt Nancy. And when we came to the Church LV at the very beginning, we became very, very good friends with Simone and Chops and Chip and Bev, and our family was kind of broken, and we'd gone through a lot of loss, and they helped heal us, and they're knitted into our hearts, and if you cut us open, you're gonna find bits of Chops and Simone and Chip and Bev. But that's not the funny part. The funny part is, we were the first group to get baptized in the new church building. And so they had brought in the baptismal font, and we had all attended a little class, and we are lined up to get baptized, and Chip comes out of the bathroom with goggles and swim fins, because he said he had lived such a great life that the pastor was going to have to hold him under for a really, really long time. I know that the pastor has never seen anything before or since like that. There's nobody. And we are all incredibly blessed to have him in our lives.
Amen.
Swim fins. Swim fins? I wish I'd have saw that. Come on up, Abby. I believe it.
I was like, oh my God. Thank you.
Sorry.
You know how you look in the dictionary for the definition of a word and sometimes you can just see a person's face there? They are the definition of that word. Well, I was looking for a verse in the Bible about husbands. And lo and behold, there's one that has Chip's picture on it. And would you believe that it is in the Message translation? So this is Ecclesiastes 9, and it says, "Seize life, eat bread with gusto, Drink wine with a robust heart. Oh yes, God takes pleasure in your pleasure. Dress festively every morning. Don't skimp on colors and scarves. Relish life with the spouse that you love. Each and every day of your precarious life, each day is God's gift. And it's all that you get in exchange for the hard work of staying alive. Make the most of each one. Whatever turns up, grab it and do it. And I just thought that this man, who I met 33 years ago, and I was scared to death of this man. I did not think anything was going to happen. In fact, I was like, nope, not going to see him again, not going to. And Carl and Dale were there the night that we met. And I thought, he lives in California, I live in Arizona, I'll go out with him once, that'll be it. And his ex-wife introduced us. So, you know, we'd both been divorced for about 8 or 9 years. And I hadn't really enjoyed dating very much. I was really done with men. And I was going to do it on my own.
So I dressed up as a woman.
And so his ex-wife said, well,
You were quite beautiful.
his ex-wife said, well, you know, Chip is coming over for dinner. He's coming in to see Emily, our daughter Emily. And why don't you come over? And I'm like, oh, I don't think so. I'm going out. I was going to see Camelot with a friend. Well, I stopped by, and you know, unbeknownst to me, people eat dinner after 9 o'clock at night, so they hadn't even started. So we sat down, and I was seated right next to Chip. And he kept giving me food, giving me food, giving me food. I'm like, this is really uncomfortable. So I thought, I've got to go home and study, because I was going to school. And he said, well, let me walk you out to your car. Okay. So he walks me out to the car, and he gets me to the door, and he said, I'd really like to see you again. I don't know. He says he kissed me. I don't remember that. On the forehead.
Smooth move, Jim.
Meant a lot.
So the next morning, the phone rings, and it's his ex-wife, Susie. And I said, oh, Susie, I've got to talk to you. She goes, oh, Chip's already called me. You should go out with him. He'll take you to nice places, and you'll have a good time, and you don't have to marry him. Well, that didn't quite work out that way.
No, we had to get married.
For the next 6 months, he came over to Arizona every 2 weeks, and by December, he moved back to Phoenix, and the rest is history. So on Monday, we will celebrate 31 years of being married. And I always wanted to have 4 kids. Well, I had 2, and he had 2, because I always knew about Allison. And then we had Carly, so we have 5. And we now have 7 grandchildren. And we don't have a perfect family, but we have a family that I adore. And this man, he's more than funny. He's intelligent, he's deep. He's got the biggest heart. He has the capacity to love of more than any human being I've ever met. And he took a woman with 2 kids, and they weren't perfect. We went through a lot. And he never turned his back. And one day, in the closet of one of my daughter's rooms, who was holding up a Kermit the Frog poster in front of her face, he pulled the Kermit the Frog poster down and he said, I'm not going anywhere. And he hasn't. In the middle of the night, he wakes up and he has thoughts that comes into his head. He's so intelligent, and he has games that he's created. He has ideas that he wants to build on. He has dreams. And at 70 years old, he hasn't stopped. And I love you, Matt.
I would have dropped that. Drop it.
Drop the mic.
Throw that stuff.
Oh, sure.
I've been waiting for this part.
Have you? Sure. Got a few cue cards here. You know, at 70, your memory goes so fast.
Come on, you super intelligent.
What am I up Where am I?
You know,
I didn't know you could read.
This is in Braille. Excuse me, I have to use my fingers. You know, it seems that as I get older, Mother Nature and Father Time just can't get it together, it seems, because when you finally learn the rules, you're too old to join the team. And that's very disturbing. You know, I know as I'm aging, my skin changes, my face changes. I remember last Halloween, I'd go to the door, open it, and the kids would hand me their candy. I mean, I was at the casino, had an extra quarter, I threw it in the machine and pulled the handle, and 3 prunes came up. And all of you over the age of 50 are going to have to start getting regular colonoscopies. Just warning you ahead of time. I mean, I was in the doctor's office probably, I think it's been 5 or 6 weeks ago, and I was sitting in the room with 3 other guys, and the doctor came out and he said, "Okay, Chip, we're going to give you an endoscopy." I said, "Well, what's that?" And he said, "Well, that's where we take the camera and we run it down your throat to make sure everything's working." Okay. And he looks at the other 3 guys and he goes, "Now you're all 3 going to have colonoscopies where we take the camera and we insert it in a different place and we check to make sure everything's okay." He said, "Are there any questions?" I raised my hand and said, "Yeah, can I go first?" I think it was a reasonable request. I guess I was a pretty ugly baby. My mom told me that the doctor grabbed me by the hands and slapped me in the face. And it was only later that I heard that the nurse got a few shots in. But I was born in Colorado Springs in a neighborhood that was sort of middle class, but in my early days we lived in a poor neighborhood. I mean, it was so poor that if a family made their rent on time, they were arrested on suspicion of robbery. And I'll never forget, I mean, we were poor because my grandmother passed away, we read the will, I owed her $20. And I didn't really have any close friends growing up. You know, I'd go down to the park and play on the seesaw, and I'd always get so tired because I had to keep running back and forth. Yeah.
You know, that was as lame as anything I've ever. Come on.
Hell's bells, you just woke up 10 minutes ago.
Let's step it up there now.
We had a house fire when I was growing up. Turned out not to be too serious, but I remember my dad telling my brothers and sister to be quiet because he didn't want them to wake me up. My dad Dad was a fairly heavy drinker. He was a product of World War II, gone through a lot. And, he had, a lot of problems with alcohol. In fact, I remember one time my mom getting so mad at him because she caught him squeezing the juice out of the Scotch tape. Honestly, we were on a road trip. We were on a road trip one time. We passed a sign on the side of the road that said "Drink Canada Dry." Hell, we moved it. And my dad and I had a great relationship. But I only got mad at him one time, really, as I remember. He sent me to a psychiatrist for putting on his bra for a second time. I mean, there's something wrong with that, don't you think? And my mom, as my brother alluded to, was a White House press correspondent for a number of years, 34, 35 years, something like that. I once asked her, so who was your favorite president? She goes, oh, it was Bill Clinton. I said, really, why? Well, he gave me a job to do. I said, what was that? She said, well, I was responsible for making sure all the female interns went through the Monica Lewinsky training course. And, my brother said she passed away. We had, it's hard, isn't it? So when she was passing away, we got to spend some good time together. We talked about a lot of things, and got a lot of things worked out. And at one point she said, Chip, there are a couple things I got to share with you. And I said, well, anything. Go ahead. She said, well, remember when we told you you were such a good photographer and that you had to take all the family pictures? I said, yeah. She said, that's because we didn't want you in them. And I said, well, that's awesome. She said, you were always a good eater, but I have to tell you, there was no such thing as Alpo baby food. I said, most of you knew me before I lost 75 pounds. Those of you who didn't know me are looking at me going, my God, how big was I? I asked my mom, was I a big baby? She said, yeah, the stork brought you in a U-Haul. And I said, well, it's a pretty big baby. You know how people, when they get older in that picture, you kind of see a little bit of a double chin. I had more chins than a Chinese phone book. My underwear said Goodyear. I once went into a tanning salon, I swear, went into a tanning salon, they immediately told me to go across the street to the auto body and paint shop. When I go to the airport, get my shoes shined, I give the guy $10 and get off the stand and have to take his word for it. I went to the doctor and said, hey, doctor, I'm pretty heavy. Is my heart strong enough for sex? He said, well, not if you're going to join in. And I don't want to say that when I met Bev, I was a ladies' man. But I did get her to say yes twice. I asked her if I was being obnoxious and that she'd like me to leave. A lot of people have said, when you met Bev, was it love at first sight? I said, well, it kind of had to be. I was only in town for 2 hours. So, and now Bev is an amazing cook, really a good cook. But when we first met, she was still working on that. I can't say she was a bad cook. I remember one time I left some dental floss on the counter and came in the next day and the roaches had hung themselves. So, Carl. It was chilly tonight, isn't it? Well, it's summertime. I don't mind sleeping alone.
You've always had great taste.
Oh, yeah. My brother Carl, he really had the responsibility of raising us.
What a great job I did.
That's probably up for consideration. But we always, he would be around, we'd have to ask permission. I remember we grew up in Colorado, it was the middle of winter. And I asked Carl, I said, hey Carl, can I go down and do some ice skating on the pond? And he goes, sure. He said, just wait till summer. See, wait till summer, meaning the pond would.
You got it.
You know, I was diagnosed with a strange medical condition as a kid. I had to eat dirt 3 times a day. And I really appreciate that Carl diagnosed that. So my dad would say, Carl, go out and play with your brother. Basically the reason we had him. Carl would go, no. And so I would say, well, so who am I going to play with? Carl would bring over the dog, and I would play with the dog. In fact, my brother David taught the dog, my youngest brother David, taught the dog how to play fetch. Carl and I would throw him back and forth across the yard. You know, they have a beautiful daughter, Steffi. She's not here to defend herself. But she is an amazing young woman. And she has given Carl and Dale perhaps the greatest gift that any daughter can give her parents. A doctor for a son-in-law. My sister Melanie couldn't make it. She's fundraising for Antifa in Portland. She has a quilting party there. She's raising some money. So I remember one of my memories is of my dad kind of yelling at me, saying, "Chipper, get Melanie's hat out of the lake." And I yelled back, "I can't, Dad." And he said, "Why not?" I said, "Well, I tied it too tight around her chin." My brother David, he's not here either. Those two are the smart ones. You know, we lived in a little small house and we played hide and go seek a lot. And my poor brother David was always getting caught because he'd always do something like hide behind the curtain and his feet would stick out or whatever. One time I talked him into crawling into the freezer and I'd shut the door, and you know, it must have worked because number one, he never got found. And number two, to this day, when he opens his mouth, a light bulb goes off. So I think that it was a meaningful experience. He's a hedge fund manager, which I think is ironic because, hell, the guy never even mowed the grass. But I got a question. He's a smart guy, but sometimes I have to question his judgment because one time at his house, one of the light bulbs burned out, and he immediately sold all his GE stock. So I don't know, that doesn't seem real wise to me. But he actually is doing many admirable things. He's helping clients work on a retirement plan, which I think is very admirable. Fortunately, it's his own. And I have kids here, and I want to talk a little bit about them before I close. But you know, having kids reminds you of how important it is to have love in your heart. You know, I just love my church. I love my friends. I love golf. I love one of my children. And, you know, and Aaron's here. Hi, sweetheart. You know, Aaron, it was tough raising a stepchild. But all I ever tried to instill in Aaron is be honest, be honest, be honest. One day she walked up to me and she said, "I'd like to be honest." And I said, "Sure, honey." She said, "You're not my dad."
And I don't have to eat your meatloaf.
No, that's right. We'll talk about the meatloaf story later. Nathan, her husband, a great man, retired Marine Corps. He's adjusting, I think, really well to civilian life.
Oh, yeah.
He's adopted a new philosophy. His new philosophy is, look, I want to be polite. I want to be professional. And in the back of my mind, I always want to have a plan to kill anyone I meet. So I think it's working out. And Carly, my sweet Carly, you came in the door just in time, sweetheart. She's getting her master's degree in counseling, which I think is amazing. And but she's always been a little bit challenged with math. Math's been tough for her. Like, the toughest thing for her was the Roman numerals. You know, she's never watched a Super Bowl game because of that. And for a long time, oh, she left. Now I can tell you what I really think.
It's called transfinancial. We all suffer from it.
Oh, I see. Well, you know, I think she was really struggling with Roman numerals because for a long time she thought her grandfather had served in World War XI. And Emily and her family moved back last year. It was wonderful to have the grandkids close by. And I didn't know it, but Emily can make anything. I mean, we have had some amazing meals, and I said, honey, how did you make that? She said, reservations. I said, great, and listen, I'm so sorry you cooked that romantic dinner for Rod the other night, and those pesky firemen ruined it. Sorry. Allie, remember when we first talked on the phone, we probably spent 4 hours talking. I mean, I think I spoke like 6 minutes of that. But at the end, I said, Allison, so what's your feeling about speaking to your dad for the first time? There was a little bit of a silence. And I said, so did you like it? And I heard, I knew he had to do a little work. I asked Al, we were up in Portland visiting Allison and Alan. Their daughter, Jacqueline, went out on a date, and I asked Al, I said, Al, what's it like to watch this beautiful young girl go out on her date? And he said, well, it's a little bit like giving $1 million Stradivarius to a gorilla.
Hey.
Sorry.
Dialogue.
And Jonathan, I know your mom always told you that she didn't have any favorite children, which probably was pretty hard on you since your sister hadn't been born yet. You know, I want to close, but I want to tell you that I have one more story about Carly. You know, I'm flattered and overwhelmed by how many people have said that I'm a giving man. So I'm going to make it a concerted effort from now on to start giving all of you the check after dinner. You know?
Close! That means close!
I found something from Maya Angelou that really defines my philosophy of life. And it says that people will never remember what you say. People will never remember what you do, but people will never forget how you make them feel.
That's right.
And I hope in my deepest heart that for the rest of my life, I can make all of you feel as good as you're making me feel tonight. I love you all.